Let's go over the new Legends and Flashback collection with the new Legend 99 overall Scott Rolen, and this card looks really, really good, and in my opinion, it will be worth grinding for. And the nice thing about this collection is that we can skip one of the card series final rewards while still being able to obtain this Scott Rolen, and shortly we'll go over which card series I think makes the most sense to skip, because there are a few different options that stand out, but we'll go over that. And obviously more cards from these card series will come out over time as we go longer and longer into the game cycle. But let's go over where you can get all of these cards within each of the card series, what to focus on within the card series, and then touch on which card series I would recommend skipping. Now, let's start with the Egg Hunt collection right here. And this one, I don't know, maybe might seem a little bit intimidating at first. I'm not sure. Maybe you guys feel that way, but you can actually obtain all of the cards except the expensive Jorge Polanco card, and you can complete the collection. I just don't have a few of the cards, but I can buy them out, and yeah, basically get that DeGrom card, which, as we know, that DeGrom, as we come in here, he's basically a voucher, one of the vouchers for the Scott Rolen. Moving on to the Negro Leagues collection, keep in mind, I think it's on May 2nd, there are more Negro League cards that are coming into the game, making this collection easier to complete, also less expensive to complete. So once the final storyline cards come out, between the storylines, between the Jackie Robinson Day program, the Jackie Robinson Showdown cards, you should be able to complete this collection. And I do believe, if I remember correctly, I think you need to complete the Jackie Robinson Showdown 2 or 3 times to actually get all of those Showdown cards. So keep that in mind. But yeah, that, pretty simple right here. Pretty easy grind to get that done. And then the Jolt Series voucher, pretty straightforward. You just need 15 of the Diamond Team Affinity cards from the My Journey Team Affinity programs. And then new threads. I got all but 4 of these cards and was able to complete it, so I wouldn't skip this one. This one's not too bad to do. There are so many cheap gold cards in here, as you guys can kind of tell. Plus, you can get more cards from the New Threads program. You can get more from the New Threads Diamond Quest map. And then there are some you might have to buy out, but they're not going to be too expensive. So this one overall is not going to be very expensive to complete compared to some of these other ones that we'll go over. Then moving on to the Pipeline collection. I skipped 5 of these cards, I think it was, and still was able to get this done. I have all of them, but I just didn't lock in 5 is what I mean. So there's a lot of these cards in the offline modes, like Diamond Quest map, and also the US Conquest maps. Hopefully you guys have been keeping up with the US Conquest maps. Otherwise, maybe you've started them. I would knock those out at, soon here, so you can get this Pipeline collection done. And then there's a lot of cards that you need from packs, and you probably have a bunch of these by now anyways. But if you need to buy others, a lot of these cards, similar kind of to the New Threads one, if you have to actually buy them, are not too expensive. Pretty cheap, which is nice. And not, this one's not going to be too bad, similar to the New Threads one to complete, at this point in the game. But then moving on to a more challenging one to complete, I would say, the All-Star one. This one is a candidate for a skip. Now, I'll go over shortly whether I would actually skip this one or not, but there are some expensive cards in here. There's, BR players in here. There's Chase Pack players in here. Other multiplayer programs in here. The Guardians Live Series Collection Reward, which is an expensive one, is going to be in here as well. And I say, there's 31 that you need, and there's just not going to be too many. There's going to be some cheaper Diamond one cards. There's going to be some ones, in like mini seasons and whatnot that you can grind for. But in terms of like the Team Affinity cards, like the silver and gold, there's not a lot of those. So this is a lot of cards, compared to all of the other collections. This is a lot of cards. I'm 10 away, but I feel like that's a lot because there's so many expensive ones that I would need to buy at this point. Definitely a good top candidate to skip the All-Star. We'll come back to that in a bit. But then the Spring Breakout program, this one you definitely want to do and not skip, okay? So either this, you'll find these cards either basically in the Spring Breakout program, which probably a lot of us have done by this point. Otherwise, the Spring Breakout Showdown, which you will need to repeat a few times to get all of the gold cards from that pack that you get for winning the Showdown. I think you have to do it like 3 or 4 times to get all of the gold cards needed to complete this collection, but it's really easy. The showdown is pretty straightforward, pretty simple. But then moving on to the contributor collection, seems like 80% of this are cards that are like silver and gold cards from Team Affinity programs. Otherwise, like Live Series Collection reward cards, which aren't too bad to get. They aren't the super expensive Live Series Collection rewards. So when you grind contributor cards, just make sure you're checking to see which teams you need to grind for Team Affinity missions, and then the Live Series teams you need to earn for these cards as well. But this one's pretty straightforward, pretty easy. There's a few other cheaper cards to buy out too if you need to get up to the 28 card it's needed, which I am very close, and probably will get that one done here very soon. The last ride collection right here is an easy one. The main one where you can get these cards are basically like Team Affinity paths. The Common Courtesy, a couple, as you see, 64 overalls you get from the Common Courtesy program, and then a couple more in like this David Ortiz from the Last Ride program that I remember I think was really easy to complete. And then there's a few other various cards needed, like including that Jim Edmonds from the new program, the Scott Rolen program that came out recently. Second half heroes is another option to think about for skipping, and I say this because the NL West Live Series Collection Reward, the D-backs Live Series, Padres Live Series Collection Reward, the Randy Johnson Chase card, there are a lot of expensive cards in here, and you need 16 of these cards, and I'm not even like close at all on this one. And I feel like I've been keeping up with collections pretty well. So yeah, I mean, there's going to be, this is one where if you finish early on the Live Series collections, then you can just do this one probably, but otherwise I would be patient for more second half cards to come out. Otherwise you can obviously skip it. That's up to you. We'll talk about that in a second, which ones I would recommend skipping. 20th anniversary though, I would probably do this one. There's a couple in the Diamond Quest starter map, like the Soto and the Judge, the starter program. There's a few cards, and then from the pre-order packs, Digital Deluxe Edition, we have some of those diamond cards that are, right now sitting at like 9, 10, 11K a piece. The one that stands out, though, is the CC Sabathia, which you get from winning the New Year, New Series Mini-Seasons Championship. And I know this might draw a lot of people away from this, and like you might think you want to skip it because you don't want to grind through this entire mini-seasons right here. But if you are no money spent, I would just grind it out. And while you grind for this CC, you can be grinding missions in other programs that'll help get you other players from some of these other card series collections that you still need. So I think it's going to be worth it for sure. Rookie is super easy because really all you need are some Team Affinity cards, a couple of Live Series collection cards, which are not too expensive. There's some of the, the White Sox, the Rays, right? Not expensive ones here. That's pretty much it. And you can get, all you need is 10 of these. So pretty simple, pretty straightforward right here. You don't even need to get the Dodgers Live Series collection done at this moment if you get everything else. And then we're moving on to the Breakout Collection, which is another easy one. You shouldn't have any issues with this because all you really need, similar to Rookie, are, couple Team Affinity cards, but then you also need a couple of Diamond Quest cards, and then there's a couple of other cards in here that are cheap, which if you don't have, you can just buy because they are very cheap. And yeah, I think the Shane McClanahan right here is a Diamond Quest card too, which is very cheap. I just don't have it. And even with that being said, I do have the Breakout one done already. So moving on then to the Veteran Collection. There's a couple cards, as you can see, from the Common Courtesy program. There's some XP program cards from, I believe, the first inning. I think this Batista, for example, was from the first inning XP program, if I remember correctly. And then a couple second inning XP path cards here as well. And then a bunch of Team Affinity cards, and then a few Live Series collection cards too, like this Liam Hendricks from the Athletics. And then the Santana was a Mets Live Series card, I believe, and then Tigers right here as well. So pretty easy. Veteran right there, pretty straightforward. Postseason. As you can tell, not many postseason cards in the game currently, but it's not bad. A few Live Series collection cards, and and then a couple like cheaper ones like David Robertson right here, Steve Carlton, and then obviously that Manny Ramirez you probably have from the first inning XP program boss. Not too bad right there. Topps now, you can find a lot of these cards from the, actually you can find a lot of them from the Team Affinity programs, like the silver cards, but then otherwise, the rest of these are kind of like from the Spotlight programs. Make sure you're completing those, and I always say stay up to date on the Spotlight programs because you never know when, it's going to come in handy. Plus, Lightning cards are going to be coming out, so you're going to want all of these cards and whatnot anyways, but there's also some then in the Spotlight packs, so, you probably get some of those for grinding the programs, but then also you can just buy some of them. They're not that expensive. Spotlight, most of these cards obviously come from the packs I was just talking about, the Spotlight packs, and more cards will come out every week in these packs, so I'm guessing a lot of these older ones will just kind of go down after a couple weeks after they release. And you probably will need to buy some of these, but I'm just not sure it's enough stubs that it's worth actually skipping, so I would do this one. Standout is very interesting, because as you see here, Jorge Posada is a lot of stubs. Chase pack card right here. Darren O'Day is going to be the AL East Live Series Collection Reward, which obviously you need Aaron Judge for. This guy is the AL West Collection Reward. The next one is the Yankees Live Series Collection Reward. So obviously you need Judge for that too. And then Bob Gibson is the XP program boss card, so that is attainable for sure, but you do need 5 of these. At the moment, you need all of these cards. So it's going to be expensive. It's, if you want to skip it, you can. This is another option to skip. It depends how many more cards of these come out in the next couple weeks, I guess. And then the Cornerstone cards, and in a lot of my videos, I always say do not forget about these Cornerstone programs, and hopefully that is the case because, not only is there free and easy XP in them, but you need these cards to, for the voucher, right? And I would not skip this one. This one's really easy to do. And yeah, for these programs, I would basically just put in, look into the missions for these programs, put these players and whatnot in your lineup, and start grinding these out right now in whatever modes you want to grind to pick up all these Cornerstone cards, because you will need them, because obviously I would not skip those. So there's 3 card series that stand out for me when deciding like which card series I actually want to skip, and that is All-Star, Second Half, and then Standout. For me, I'm not going to skip Standout because I'm very close to completing the Live Series collection, so I might as well just get those done, and it will be pretty easy to get the Standout done, especially if one other Standout card like comes in the game here in the next couple weeks. I probably will go All-Star for skipping. I think Second Half, as long as a couple more come into the game, I'm going to be just fine on that. And All-Star, there's just so many expensive cards in there, like chase pack cards and whatnot, and you need 31 cards, that it's going to take a lot more to come into the game for, it to be realistic for me to get it. I'm already 10 away, and I feel like the majority of those 10 are just super expensive cards that I would need to pay for it, so it's just not going to really be worth it. So I'm going to skip All-Star, but it depends what your guys' collections look like. Like if you have a couple of the chase cards, maybe All-Star is more appealing to just do. Up to you guys, but I think All-Star makes the most sense for me to skip. And for those of you that can't complete this collection right away, some things you can be thinking about or doing is obviously just waiting for more cards to come into the game. Otherwise, there was a flash sale that the day that this collection came out, so the weekend that this collection is out, the market should be moving quickly, which means flipping cards this weekend that this is out could be a really good option to make stubs so you can continue working towards the cards needed for the collection. But just in general, I would recommend flipping cards, especially if you have the companion app, and you don't even have to be on your console grinding the game. You can just be anywhere, out and about, on the app, flipping cards, making stubs in the meantime. But then also there is a live series overall upgrades and downgrades on May 2nd. So if you're investing in some of these cards, might not be a bad idea, because if you can cash in on maybe 1 or 2 of your investments that you make, this could help finish, give you the stubs needed to help finish off the collection for Scott Rolen. So I know these kinds of big collections can be overwhelming for a lot of people, so I kind of just wanted to use this video as an overall guide and kind of looking at this big picture at everything you need to do or focus on to complete this just in the easiest way, for the least amount of stubs, and just hopefully it's, easier for everyone kind of to understand what you need to get done exactly. And yeah, so that's going to be it for this one. I appreciate you guys for sticking around to the end and watching. See you next time. Peace.